do you want to start?
Hey guys, it's me, Brian. Oh boy, it's been a while. Sorry about that. Gone through a few changes in my life, still about to change even more. But anyway, that's not why I'm here today. I'm here to talk about something that I should have talked about a while back, and that is last year. Now you see, every year, at the end of the year, I try to make a top 10 list. Few of them actually. And only once have I actually done something about it. If you want to see that video, just go to my old channel, Amuya, A-M-U-I-A. And you'll see a poorly done long video telling my top 10. Well, anyway, this is a new year, so I'm going to try to do a top 10. And we start off with the movies. Now, before I get to my top 10 movies of last year, I just want to say two things really quickly about movies that won't be on the list. First of all, movies that won't be on this list are movies that I haven't seen. I know it's kind of a given to say, but given my circumstance, I haven't seen a lot of the critically acclaimed, like some of these pictured right here. Last year was a very financially limited year for me, so generally I tried to just see fun movies and tried to keep spending at a minimum. So for that and many reasons, some of the ones that you'd think would be obvious picks will not be on this list. Secondly, no superhero movies. I know this might sound weird, but as some of you might know, I'm a big superhero fan, and we had a lot of movies come out this year pertaining to superheroes, so I feel that they'd dominate the list. I mean, just look right here. I know all 6 would be on here. Hell, top row would probably be my top 3, so I felt it only fair to not include them. Alright, let's start the list proper with number 10. Mr. Peabody and Sherman. This movie was a really fun movie that brought back nostalgia for people like myself who remember the original series, and it had a great cast, nice little twists and turns here and there. And as you all know, I am a sucker for time travel, and was Mr. Peabody and Sherman without time travel. So for those reasons, it is my number 10. Alright, moving on to number 9. Muppets Most Wanted. Now, this marks Ty Burrell's second appearance on this list, and that's a good thing, because even though I think Modern Family can get out there, I like him as an actor. But anyway, back to the movie. The movie is a good twist on the whole being framed criminal drama type genre with the Muppets. And how can you go wrong with the Muppets? Well, I mean, there was those 1 or 2 cases, but anyway, Muppets were a big part of my childhood, and although this isn't as good as the first movie of the rebooted series, or as good as some of the classic Muppet movies, this was still a really good entry into the franchise that brought in a good cast, and it was clear that the people involved were fans of the Muppets, and it showed. Okay, let's move on to number 8. 22 Jump Street. Now this one honestly surprised me because I wasn't expecting much. I mean, don't get me wrong, I really liked the first one, 21 Jump Street, but nowadays comedy sequels don't really tend to be as good as the original. But with the creative guys behind the scenes and the 2 main leads, I should have guessed that this would be a good movie. It brings the classic comedy action, which I really like, plus it manages to be its own thing, and if it repeats things from the original, it acknowledges it and makes self-references, and overall it was just a good movie, and I can't wait to see the third one. Next up, number 7. Divergent. Now, I know from critics' reactions that I'm probably in the minority here, but I really like this movie. I thought the 2 main leads had good chemistry, and Charlie Woodley, I think that's how you pronounce her name, was great in this movie, and it was nice to see a good dystopian future movie. And I know a lot of people make comparisons to Hunger Games, but besides being young adult, having a female lead, and being against the power of the system, I think this and Hunger Games are 2 separate beasts. This one is more about being an outcast. Anyway, I know I'm in the minority of liking this movie, but I don't care. I liked it, so I'm including it. I thought it was cool, young adult aimed action raw with really good acting from the main lead. Moving on to number 6, Godzilla. That's right, the G-Man himself. I know it's gotten mixed reviews from critics, but I really liked it, and I thought that the main cast did a really good job, including the amazing Ken Watanabe and Bryan Cranston. I know some people have an issue with the fact that Godzilla himself takes a long time to show up, but I think that's part of the charm. It builds it up. Movies like this, they're slow until you get to the payoff, but the payoff has to be good, and I think this was good. That last fight with Godzilla and the Mutos, I was cheering. Hell, my whole theater was cheering, getting up and clapping, and oh boy, that was an awesome fight. One of my very few problems with this movie is that I do think they could have done more with the main character, and they critically underused Bryan Cranston. Overall, very fun movie. I believe it is worthy of the name Godzilla. Cannot wait for the sequel, and it was 100 times better than the Matthew Broderick version. Ugh. So, number 5. Oculus, starring the lovely Doctor Who alumni, Karen Gillan. Now, I thought this was a really cool twist on a horror movie. It plays with your mind, which is a good parallel because the characters' minds are kind of bending, so pretty cool that your mind is kind of bending while watching it, and it doesn't exactly leave you in the sanest and happiest of places when the movie is over. But I think that's part of the charm. A lot of horror movies lately just haven't been good in my opinion. We've had very few good horror movies lately. But there have been some gems like Sinister, Your Next, and now Oculus. This movie was really good, but I don't want to say too much about it because that's also part of the charm, is going in with as little knowledge as possible. So I will just say, if you are a fan of psychedelic horror movies, go see this movie. Moving on to number 4. Chef. Now, this movie is a passion project for Mr. Jon Favreau, the dude responsible for many movies, including the first 2 Iron Man movies. In this movie, not only does he direct, but he stars in it, and this is just a good movie about doing what you love, being with the people that you love, and just all around celebrating food and the art of food and the joy it brings to people. And yet another movie on this list that has an awesome cast, including John Leguizamo, who does a really good job as the main character's best friend. This movie also brings genuine comical moments and good drama as well, and overall it's just a heartwarming movie. And there aren't many of those out there nowadays, as there should be. Anyway, let's move on to the thick of it, starting with number 3. Maze Runner. Now, I do realize that, like Divergent, this was based on a young adult book, but still, this movie really surprised me. I went in with very low expectations. Like Oculus, I think the less you know about this movie, the better, but it is a cool tale about a group of young kids played by surprisingly well young actors in this surprisingly dark sci-fi movie that just starts off with them being stuck in this giant maze and ends on a note that, let me just say, I didn't see coming. And generally with these young adult things, I see the ending coming. Granted, I haven't read the book, so if I read the book, maybe I'd see it coming. Anyway, this is a good movie, in my opinion, that came out of nowhere for me. And if you are a fan of high science fiction, I think you should all give it a try. Alright, getting close. Number 2, Inherent Vice. Oh boy, this movie. It is a very good but very complicated film noir movie set in the 70s. Yeah, this movie manages to capture both the feel of the 70s and a true film noir type movie with some twists and turns here and there, and a very good but complicated plot. This movie was directed by none other than Paul Thomas Anderson, the guy responsible for movies like Boogie Nights, Magnolia, and probably most importantly, There Will Be Blood. It also stars an awesome cast, including people like Joaquin Phoenix, Josh Brolin, Owen Wilson, Martin Short, Reese Witherspoon, and frickin' Benicio del Toro, among others. Like few other movies in this list, less you know the better. So I'll just say this is a refreshing take on a film noir movie with a lot of talented people involved. It may take multiple watchings, and this isn't a movie that you can be doing something else to, you just have to watch it. Still, I'd recommend you all watch this great psychedelic movie. And quick side note, we need more film noir movies. Anyway, moving on to the creme de la creme, number 1. The Lego Movie. That's right, people. My favorite movie of the year is The Lego Movie. Now you see, I was a Lego kid growing up. Whether it be freeform or building the molds, for the longest time in my childhood, I used to love Legos. Hell, I still kinda do to this day. So, no surprise that I'd go see a movie about Legos. But then, add to the fact you have Phil Lord and Chris Miller running things. The guys who took a simple children's book, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and turned it into an awesome animated movie, and taking a good but forgettable 80s TV show, 21 Jump Street, and turning it into an awesome action comedy movie, and then directing its previously mentioned 22 Jump Street sequel. Those guys, it looks like so far, can do no wrong. As for the movie itself, it's a fun movie about being who you are and being creative and being the unlikely hero and saving the day. But it's just so much more than that, and it's hard to explain. They take all of the different, well, not all, but they take most of the Lego different sub-franchises and put them all together, including Lego Batman as a main character. This movie was so funny and just so fun, part of which I give to the previously mentioned Phil Lord and Chris Miller, but also to the amazing voice cast. Now, I know I keep talking about different movies cast, but they can make or break a movie, and this has an amazing cast. Includes none other than amazing people like Chris Pratt, Elizabeth Banks, Nick Offerman, Charlie Day as 80s space guy, Liam Neeson, frickin' Morgan Freeman, Alison Brie, which if you don't know that name, look her up, she's awesome. Then you have Will Ferrell and Will Arnett pumping out surprisingly good roles as the villain and Will Arnett as Lego Batman. And that's just the main cast. This movie was filled with awesome voices to match these awesome characters to make an awesome movie. And as the theme song would say, yes, everything is awesome, including that theme. This is a great, fun, heartwarming movie that brings a lot of nostalgia and teaches everyone a good message, not just kids. For those reasons and many more, the Lego Movie is my favorite movie of the year. So, join me next time where I'm doing something a little bit different, which I know is out of my wheelhouse, but I'll try anyway to accurately convey it. Join me next time where I will be talking about my top 10 albums of last year. See you guys.